Hi, yeah, after a long time. Yes, hi Prajwal. Hi Romit. It was good to see you guys back again. So yeah, we have some latest developments that's going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem. We know that Bitcoin Cash has split and forked into Bitcoin SV. And we had some topics, talked about this last time, but I guess we can talk about it again. If you have any questions, a lot of people might have not joined us at the time. So, guys, sorry to interrupt. Just give me a second. Yeah, looks much better now. The prediction about crypto market. What exactly in terms of price? Bitcoin will dip a little bit more. I think it's just a temporary rise in price right now in December. I think it correction period is not finished yet, and it has still a little bit more dip to go. So it's nice to see a lot of us here. So the purpose of Meetup is to explain what is the latest developments in the crypto space. We have a big team, big group on our Meetup, and I guess a lot of people have questions regarding the same. So we are here to address that. Any of your questions you want to be addressed in terms of what is happening with the crypto space, what's the latest developments, and so on. So you have any questions about it, you can just go ahead and ask. So we had like a few questions from people already because they still think that like the Bitcoin is doomed in a way because the price has dropped drastically. Uh, I guess the bigger the I compared to before, right now, it has a bigger market. So the bigger the market, the bigger the fluctuation. So the big fluctuation has a big drop also. So there's just a drop in price correction is nothing to do with Bitcoin going to zero or anything, because those kind of questions keep popping. And so Pawan, if you can explain a little bit more, what's the best way to market my crypto? What do you mean by that? Okay, I'll come back to your question, Pranav. Sorry, that was Pranav. Subhash Kumar has got a very good question. Yes, we can use crypto like Paytm is used. Uh, well, we know what the difference is. Paytm is more nationally used, and cryptocurrency is an international tool. So the way we use Paytm, cryptocurrency is as simple and as easy as Paytm, and it just becomes global. Because we are all a global people, we're not just like bound to just India, because India is just a small market. We want to be a global players. So to be a global player, we need a global currency. That's what Bitcoin does. And yes, it is used for as a global market tool and a global market currency. In the coming days or now or before, any time Bitcoin is useful from the day it had value, that was in 2010 May. Bitcoin is useful for global commerce. The reason is it does not matter how pricey or what price Bitcoin is at. If you were moving 1,000 rupees equivalent to Bitcoin, if it was early days, probably would have used say 10 bitcoins to move the 1,000 rupees, but today we use zero point 0.1 to move that, or probably even less. The value of Bitcoin does not really, matter in terms of global value transfer, payments, settlements. The number of Bitcoins changes, but the amount of value that you want to move is absolutely moved in seconds and in a decentralized format. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, and it's always going to be used for commerce. So Suraj, you're saying Bitcoin has its own satellite. If you can explain it a little bit more about what you're saying, we can talk about it. I'm not too sure what exactly you mean. As a node in space, yes, I think they're working on that. The node will be uh, useful from the space in a way like the rest of the nodes are all here, and we would eventually going to have one node in space. So Pranav, if you can come back to me on a little bit of elaboration of your question, uh, what's the best way to market my crypto? Please tell me what really you wanted to know about it. Okay, yes. So Romit has answered the question. Thank you very much, Romit. Um, so, Pranav, when you say you have a crypto running, in a way, are you saying that you are trying to have yeah, an altcoin that you're going to be releasing, or you're working on something which is going to be your own crypto, or are you talking about mining? So anyway, come back to it, guys. If my voice is a little bad, excuse me because I have a cold, and I think my cold is going to be like a little bad. It's not really better in terms of the weather now. Somebody thinks a cow coin could be a coin for the future, but you know what? It could be any coin. A shit coin is the best coin. Trust me, because the name shit, like everybody picks on that. So why Indian government banned the first ATM? Because Indian government is not ready for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Indian government means, the banks run the system for controlling this part of the financial sector, and they're not really happy with Bitcoin, and they really don't want to understand and get on top of it and help people. Instead, they look at it as a very clear threat to them. And I don't think they should think like that, because nothing is a real threat. It's just a technology, and technology can be leveraged by anybody and everybody, including the banks, like how post office also uses email. They shouldn't be threatened by email. It's just that the post office can never ever handle the volumes that we do on emails or on the internet, that we do messaging. If we had to leave it to the post office to handle all these kind of volumes, they would have never been able to do it, and they can never ever do it the way internet does it instantly. So these are the things are very superior in cryptocurrency compared to the existing banking system, and the banking system gets threatened by this feature. They know they're not up to the mark in terms of being fast, in terms of being global, in terms of being for everyone, for the rural areas, for all of those I'm talking about. So because crypto just comes out and helps everyone in the world at a even level, like and puts everybody on the same playground, banks get a little threatened because they don't see their monopoly being, in place if crypto is going to be popular. But then that shouldn't be the way they think, because they can leverage cryptocurrency for themselves and then make it better for their own institution to handle customers and handle services better. But they're not thinking like that yet. It's sometimes there are a lot of external pressures that they have to go through, and then the external pressures are from New York and Federal Bank, because the global dominance of currency is from the dollars, and the dollars doesn't want to lose its power to start with. That's the pinnacle. All these things plays a big role. With cryptocurrency, it's actually for the people, by the people, right? And suddenly these institutions feel that, oh shit, now we're not in the important place, and we're losing our ground. Um, that's just bad luck for them, because technology takes down anybody and everybody. We've seen it in the past. If you have a free, decentralized, open source technology, we should embrace it and then not actually feel threatened by it. What's my thought on system collapse? What system are you talking about? You're talking about Bitcoin system, cryptocurrency system collapsing? That's never ever going to happen, my friend. Think about internet. Internet, will it ever collapse? Even if the systems collapse, the lines collapse, the lines got cut, the fibers are cut. It does not matter, because internet is run by the people. It is managed by the people and is useful to the people. People will group back again and then run this system again. It's the same way cryptocurrency is also a system of the people. And if the people feel that it's somebody is controlling it and somebody threatened it with a quantum computer or things like that, it just gets regrouped within 10 minutes and then starts working again, because the ledger is up there in everybody's computer. It just gets the latest page written by the new computer again, and then the system starts back again. It's a system of people, and everybody in this ecosystem holds and runs a computer and a mining hardware, and these things regroup and come back into action. You can never ever say that it'll go the system will get crashed completely. It'll never happen. That's something that never ever is going to be a possibility. Ah, Subhash, yes, banks are already implementing the concept of distributed database. In how much time we expect it more common in terms of assets? Now, banks are implementing a lot of things, but what we are talking about in crypto space is completely parallel to this. And crypto assets run on crypto system, on your decentralized mining system, and your banks have their own system that they want to run their database on. If they want to get on the blockchain, they will have their own internal hyperledger, which is just like LAN. If you have internet, why would you use LAN? That's the idea, right? LAN was the before internet. So if they think they could have their own hyperledger, that's just a limited resource for themselves, which they'll learn out of it, and then they will realize that they need something global. Oh, you're talking about the existing system, Suraj. Yeah, existing system will collapse, because it has shown in the past that 87, 99, 2008, these are all the collapses of a specific, economic sector, which is, say, in 2008 was your housing sector, 1999 was companies and dot-com sector. So this way, their economy just collapses because they hyperinflate with their loans and with those things that the big banks do. But the way this time it's going to collapse is a little bit more bigger, because right now we already see that your interest rates from the federal bank has been increased. So a lot of banks cannot sustain themselves, because they are in a debt at a very high level. And right now they were enjoying, till today, they were enjoying a near 0% interest. That means they were paying peanuts to the billions that they took from the banks. Now that the interest rates have gone up, they have to pay back in millions and billions for the amount that they have collected from the banks, from the central bank, to run their institution. Now that they will not get that kind of easy money, they will collapse. And the more they collapse, the bigger the catastrophe is going to be. And more is going to be in the Western world. So we don't have to really worry about it. I know the after effects will affect a little bit in India, but it's more mainly Western countries. So I think that's something we know, that they are doomed. You're right, man. Blockchain is something is run by the people. That's never going to get tampered with. As long as we have values that we see, and it's a great usable factor, that it's embedded in Bitcoin, and anything that is your uh, your proof of work system, that's not going to collapse that easily. It's the light at the end of the tunnel for us. So Pranav, you're a developer. That's nice to know. And you have your own altcoin. it's amazing to know that we've had some colleagues of ours from our past companies that we had people who started their own cryptocurrency. It's good luck to you. All the best with your altcoin. And just watch how people manipulate your coins, because a lot of people take advantage and then use pump and dump, and then it might not be the best way for your altcoin to be successful. So you have to take baby steps and then make sure your altcoin is successful. The longer it stays, the better it gets. So don't look for any short-term gains, and look for a long-term, and then make sure the coin is sustaining and does some kind of like a real use case help in the system, like value transfer. That's like the main thing. It does not matter how much value of each coin is, but as long as the value transfer is used, it's used for the value transfer. It's a great tool. So you want to know how you can market it? Of course, there are very simple ways that you can just list your coin on exchanges. You have to push that to as much as you can. The more you push, the better it gets. So you have some question about EOS. I'm really sorry. This is more of a BCH and a Bitcoin talk that we are on, but of course I can definitely help with whatever knowledge we have. EOS RAM. So the price in BitBNS is going down and down. Well, that will keep going down. It all depends on the demand and supply. It's rupees whatever per 10 bytes. I thought I had brought huge amount for rupees 90 per 10 bytes. Okay, join the club, mate. And everybody has got the same story. They would have bought it at a high price and it's gone down. We all know it's called the correction period. Anything in the correction period will, experience the price drop. If you see Bitcoin itself has dropped to what, 70, 75%, that's the level of price correction that it's going through. I would say it will drop a little bit more before it starts gaining again and goes back gradually to that previous high of $20,000, which is equal to like something around 12 to 13 lakh rupees. Till it reaches that price, it will climb slowly, and watch it when it touches 13 lakhs again in a year or two. It's going to shoot up again. It might shoot up really high by that time. Hi Subhash. Yes, we can definitely collaborate. It may not be just Jaipur. It can be any part of India. We can understand to meet somewhere. If you are coming down to Bangalore, we can catch up here in Bangalore. We can definitely. You will know if we are having a physical meetup in Jaipur. We will let you know on the meetup. If you're there, definitely join our meetup, and then we can talk about your ideas of collaboration as much as the there is no real ceiling. We can collaborate to any extent. You're right, my friend. Subhash, you think you're born for blockchain? You lucky you're one of them that I have met many like that before. Born for cryptocurrency, born for blockchain, because that's the most decentralized system. Everybody loves their freedom, right? So you're born for the freedom. So kudos to you, and keep your work going on in the space. The more you interact, the more you are in the space, the more confidence and the people you will find. Uh, and nice to know that that's how you feel, and trust me on that. I felt the same, and I do, about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency from the day one that I heard about it. You won't believe it was end of 2009, and by the time crypto or Bitcoin itself had a little value in it, which is the first transaction ever for 10,000 Bitcoins for pizzas. I knew about this. I'd heard about Bitcoin a little before that. So the people that I was interacting with at that time were the ones who were talking about Bitcoin without even Bitcoin having any value. So those were the real entrepreneurs and real, visionaries that I used to talk to. Because if you if you can talk about a cryptocurrency or any product or anything in this world, if it does not have value and you understand the basics and the real need of it and the future of it, you should be really smart. So I was very happy to meet and talk a lot of people online only. I never met them in person, but that was the way cryptocurrency was in 2010. So I felt like that from the day one of understanding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and it continues to live like that. So yeah, all the best to you. Yeah, Suraj, I think I just explained a little bit about it. How you meet BTC is how I met Bitcoin, how I got introduced to Bitcoin. I can explain it a little bit in brief. I was living in the UK. I was working in an English company. I loved the job. I had a great, setup in the UK. I was living in a place called Milton Keynes. It's just a little north of London, and I had my assets set up there. And once the recession happened in 2008, my asset prices just collapsed. Being from India, I never understood how an Indian how a house or a plot can lose its value to less than half. When I was gobsmacked by the way the prices had just collapsed of my assets in the UK. I was looking for answers online. When I was doing my research, I came across Bitcoin, and a lot of people explained to me online saying that there is a huge control of the big banks in the UK, and they manipulate a lot of things in the financial sector of the UK. When I read about it in depth, I realized there are seven big banks, the main seven big banks, including the Central Bank of the UK. They all shook hands and they pumped money only into housing for the last 10 years. When they pumped more money only into housing, the house prices went shot up. So when hyperinflated house prices had to collapse, the collapse happened in 2008, and that kind of a control was going on in the UK. So that made me understand that the system is already rigged. And with these, questions happening, the answer came out was Bitcoin. So when a lot of people were talking about it as an alternative, I really didn't understand what Bitcoin was then. I thought Bitcoin was just a digital way of paying people without the use of the plastic cards, and designed by the banks. But of course, when I started reading in depth of Bitcoin, then I realized it's not necessarily by the banks, it's by the people, and it's a decentralized system. The system which is actually not controlled by these people, and a system which is open source, allowing anybody and everybody from around the world to contribute to it, add value to it, add wallets, add merchant adoption, everything on a freestanding, on an open basis, like anybody can get involved in this system. That was really beautiful. And when I totally understood about it, that's it, that I had to give up my job, study economics and finance for a year, and then take up Bitcoin full time. So my achievements after believing in that for so much is that I started the first ever Bitcoin exchange in India. It's UnoCoin. UnoCoin was incepted in 2013. I used to do meetups in 13 quite very regularly, like almost 3 weeks a month. And when we used to do those meetups, a lot of people came around, and it's mostly in Bangalore. I have to say that a lot of people came around, and then they said, how do we buy Bitcoin? And there was no way of people buying Bitcoin in India. So the first ever idea to set up a Bitcoin exchange was UnoCoin, incepted by us. Then I eventually found Satvik, and I recruited Satvik for the job of coding, and then I gave him the opportunity to run the and manage an exchange. So that was my first one, and of course, my interest of Bitcoin is not ended there, because if you see, UnoCoin is just like a bank where the private key is held by the company. Of course, there has been a lot of hacking and losing of coins of personal and private interests, and also a fraction reserve. Those kind of things hamper people's confidence. So I moved on from there, and I'm building something else called Insta Crypto. What Insta Crypto is in real world is similar to little of your Western Union and MoneyGram. We're trying to use Insta Crypto for an instant crypto transfers, for remittance, for value transfer, for payments and settlements. Of course, trading and asset holding also becomes a little part of it, because it's a place to, it's a market for exchanging of INR to crypto and crypto to INR, for a various ways to make it simple, like what the Western Union would do for remittance. So that's my little background. If you have any specific questions about my experience and my past, you can definitely drop your question here, and I will answer that. So yes, Kuldeep Singh, you have a question about BCH. I kept BCH in my Zepay wallet, and I read it in the blog that they will support the hard fork. but have not received a Bitcoin SV yet. Okay, Bitcoin SV also you will receive. I am sure that all the exchanges will find it very easy to split them and send it to you. These are all simple, coding upgrades that they have to do for the Bitcoin Cash to be split into Bitcoin SV. You have to give them some time to get around, and then simply just easily they will be able to extract it. And once they do it, it becomes very easy for extracting for everybody else. I'm sure they have a bigger, job in their hands. The scale of the volumes are huge because they have many users. So soon you will receive your SV. If you don't, you can just definitely email them if you think it's too late and they have not received, and they will definitely answer you. I've met, and Mahin is a good friend of mine. I think he had the hardest time in India to run exchanges. The first ever exchange also had some difficulties, which was before even Zeppe. Then Zeppe came along. Now I think he's going to move Zeppe to Europe, and then wish him all the best and the team. I hope Zeppe provides great service to the rest of the world, if not just India. Yes, you have a face, UnoCoin founder. I am the UnoCoin founder. I recruited Satwik and put him in this job. If you have your doubts, you can look up online. It's called Men Behind India's First Bitcoin Exchange. It's done by your business standard, and I was the main pillar to get the funding for the first round of UnoCoin, which is from Barry Silbert. That was from New York, and to even get this printed on the newspaper, I was the first one to speak to Wall Street Journal. There were two guys who interviewed me. There was Michael Casey and Paul Wigner. Once I had a convincing answer to them, the money and the print of this news came on the Wall Street Journal first, and then eventually Indian media picked up on that and then printed all over Indian media. You can look it up. It's called, I'll repeat it again, Men Behind India's First Bitcoin Exchange. So, Subhash, you wanted to understand about development course regarding the same. I guess available online. I guess you'll have to research a little bit online. There are a lot of people from abroad who are happy to run these kind of courses, and they're doing it. I've not seen many in India, but of course but there are a lot of information on indie crypto, and you can put your questions across on indie crypto. They will. My CTO is the main person who's managing that, and he will be able to answer your questions as much as possible. A little bit of experience that we have, we can help you with that. I'm sure you're good at your own skills. If you want, specific to your skills and get more understanding on that, look up on international, websites where you can get some more information on that. Oh, thank you very much, Blockpreneurship. That's Prajwal, if I'm not wrong. Yes, Block Geeks and Udemy have great courses for your blockchain. Yes. We can start our Telegram channel, but we're already taken up with a lot of other things. We will pursue this meetup channel first, and then we'll try and see if we can get that up and running. If we do have one, we will let you know. You're welcome, Subhash. So I'm sure Surujan doesn't know there is another founder also who's part of it. For UnoCoin, it is his name is Sunny Ray. It's me and Sunny Ray who had a meetup in this was specifically in which is this Hard Rock Cafe. Yes, Hard Rock Cafe on the MG Road is where we met Satvik for the first time, and we recruited him for this job. And kudos, Satvik has done some good jobs. I think he needs to still learn a little bit more and understand and get on with this. But yeah, UnoCoin was incepted with a long journey, and the main two people was me and Sunny, and we eventually got Satvik to code and get this. platform up and running. I would love to do videos on a daily basis. I will try and do as much as possible. We have some videos already that has been done before. On an average, I've done it on once or twice a week. There are some on Instagram and some on Indie Crypto. You'll be able to find them. Our Instagram handle will be Insta Crypto. And once we get on to Insta Crypto's handle on Instagram, you'll be able to see those videos. So we have Vizit. Vizit is also a long time follower of our meetup and at a great uh, a follower of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. He is a developer and he's happy to use Python for any kind of development and help you guys. If you have any questions or if you want to connect with Vizit, you can just message him and get this going. Romit, that's your question. I'm just trying to understand. I'm sorry if I'm not able to get the gist of it. If you can just message me again. It's on how Bitcoin platforms. So you're saying for funding for Bitcoin platforms or Bitcoin startups? Uh, so do understand that if there was if we had a great startup or if you have a thought and if you've done some kind of a startup with cryptocurrency. Um, I wasn't very aware of this censorship issue that you're talking about. Like you're talking about the BCH, or yeah, you're talking about the Reddit censorship for Bitcoin. I may have missed out on that. I guess I don't have the knowledge. If you have something a little bit in information about it, do put it on here. Let me just find that and understand it a little bit more for the future. Okay, so in terms of censorship on receiving funding, I think that definitely may have happened because it's pure control, and the financial sectors don't want this kind of easy funding to happen. Probably one of those reasons why they dwelled into controlling this and censoring this particular institution. So I guess I would say they'd be more of had to follow some instructions from federal bank or something. Maybe that's why they had to censor a creator, a content creator. Otherwise, I think most people would be happy to have this kind of fundraising go on. The fine details about this, I'll have to look into it, and I guess I can get back to you on the next time when we have this meetup about this particular thing. So we oh, was it okay? So that's good to know, I guess. Something that is still, it's a big world now of cryptocurrency. I guess a lot of things are happening around. Thanks for the information. We'll look into that. Meantime, we would let's talk about some of the split that has happened with BCH, and most of these wallets are ready with your BSV, and we've already received ours, and that's how it was pretty quick for our BSV to be received. If you guys are not aware about the splits and the forks that had happened, uh, this is one of the main topics that we were talking about, the fork and also the development of the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Cash blockchains. Bitcoin Cash blockchain is, I think, working strong on introducing smart contracts and also, bringing out bigger space, bigger, block space for transactions. I guess the BSV wanted to keep that coin purely as a say peer-to-peer cash system, and with that peer-to-peer cash system, I think Craig Wright, as one of the main persons of BSV, wants to just increase the block size of the BSV to accommodate more and more transactions. That's like the base idea of his, and the rest of it, like the smart contracts and those kind of things, he's not really interested on BSV, which makes sense. Then we have like an exclusive coin for peer-to-peer cash system, and I guess your BCH is also peer-to-peer cash system, and also will have some smart contract capabilities for the future. Sujan, if you can explain a little bit more what you mean by it's not a trading channel, it's more technology-based channel, that's great. So yesterday I was at a SAC meeting, and this conference slash meeting was talking a lot about blockchain. But the main people who were mentioning about the blockchain and your hyperledger and those kind of things were not even clear about the basics about cryptocurrency and the number of coins Bitcoin is going to get released. And he was talking about your demand and supply, but he did not know there is a fixed supply of Bitcoin itself. So those kind of things, a lot of people make mistakes in not understanding the basics of blockchain, and why blockchain is popular today. Blockchain is popular mainly because of Bitcoin. That's something that we have to understand. Oh yeah, thank you very much, Sujan. I know that there's a lot of other channels do talk about only trading and the price, because if you see a maximum number of people who got into cryptocurrency is because of the price it holds. So because it holds the price and it's a great trading tool, The fluctuation helps in the trading. The instant movement of cryptocurrency helps in trading. So this is like the main topic it's become today. They really miss out on the technology. They miss out on the freedom that you get out of this technology and the cryptocurrencies. So the idea with these people is because they got into the system of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin only when the Bitcoin price shot up. Uh, they only talk about these things, price and trading. If you see a lot of people who talk about Bitcoin as its core, merits, only they would be able to tell you about a lot of other things. That's what I was trying to tell you in 2010 when I was talking to people online. These are the ones who were talking about Bitcoin without Bitcoin having a price on it. So they were talking about how Bitcoin could be an electronic cash for the whole society of the world, and it can be a parallel system for the existing finance. And just at that time, we had Julian Assange from WikiLeaks using Bitcoin. Why did he use Bitcoin? Is because he needed a lot of funding that was necessary at that time for him to, bring all these documents to public. And to get one document out of a heap, he had to go through like something around 30,000 sheets of paper to bring out one bad sheet of paper that he could find. So when he has to do such large amount of work, he had a lot of people with him, and he needed a lot of funding. And he was getting funding from bank transfers, PayPal, Visa, Mastercard. And when the US government learnt about it, they stopped all his funding. When they stopped all his funding, he had to depend on cryptocurrency, that is Bitcoin at that time. And a lot of people understood that Bitcoin was a free currency, and that's that way also people got onto the Bitcoin bandwagon. And Julian Assange is also a great person to help build that kind of adoption for Bitcoin. Thank you very much. Yes, I do talk about a lot of technology. That's what I did till I would say till 2014. I was talking mainly only about technology. Then when I went to Bombay for the first time ever to do a meetup in Bombay, I realized people from Bombay had a different mindset about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. They were talking about Bitcoin as a purely trading point of view, as comparing it to stocks and markets. Then I understood, okay, these guys are more economically developed brains than, because all my people that I met in my meetups were technologically developed, and I even learned a lot from them. And in Bombay, got to learn a lot about economics. I mean to say the ground economics, which is the core of Bombay, because biggest trading I would say happens in India happens in Bombay. So hello from Dubai. Yeah, hi. How are you? It's nice to know you've got a lot of subscriptions or great stuff. Uh, Romit, no, I have not heard of this miner ID on Bitcoin SV. Please do share some light on that. So a lot of things I have debates on with people online in terms of technology, and there's so many basics that I talk about to them. Sometimes they have not even heard of, or they would have not even taken the time to research the basics of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. When I was recently talking to one of these entrepreneurs, and I was telling him about how fungible Bitcoin is compared to any other system currencies that's there available or asset system. Crypto fungibility is one of the like greatest tool that helps people to from any part of the world bring in Bitcoin, and any two Bitcoin suddenly matches and adds up to become a bigger value. And that's the fungibility. That's the one of the greatest tools or greatest merits Bitcoin has. Oh wow! So they're trying to Bitcoin SV is trying to introduce a permission mining. That's nice to know. That's also a new information. You need permission to mine BSV, or your blocks will not be accepted. Wow! So from permissionless to permission blockchain. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of implications they bring in the future. because so far everything about the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin Cash, that is mainly we were talking about how permissionless it is in terms of mining or in terms of development. It's nice to see somebody is trying something, completely out of the box, which is making it permission mining. So yeah, I guess the only answer, the best answer we will be able to see from that is with time. Once the time passes, then we will know what really it holds, any kind of promise or any good for the chain and for the ecosystem. Thanks for the information, Romit. That was really useful. So a lot of times, even I got mixed up when I used to go on other meetups and talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, BCH, the merits, being what was really Satoshi's vision was, and why did he even introduce something like cryptocurrency. People would look at me like as if I was talking, French to them, because they came there to understand trading, to understand price of Bitcoin, and they were like, no, we don't want to know about all these things. We just want to know what price it gets to, and when is this price coming back, or why is the price collapse, or how best can we do trading. I want to do arbitrage from global markets. So I do help them with those kind of things, because it's not something new for me, because I've been listening and understanding and talking about these things from a long time. uh, we give my inputs in understanding, in terms of what I understand about those kind of things. So, Sujan, I'm not too sure what you meant by that. Go ahead and please explain. By the way, Raga win the elections. What elections are we talking about, and a little bit more in depth? So yeah, this is just like a really out of the box topic for on this channel. Surely there was a lot of changes that we will see. There's something that we've not we have to learn is no one person can be a hero forever. It keeps changing. So whatever you do, I guess consistency is very important. If you don't consistently perform, people like see through you and bring in the old donkey on it. So that's what the old donkey has got another chance. Well, it's only a state chance. I don't think the donkey can really take over the country, but let's see how good a donkey is also smart in carrying clothes, but I guess it's limited to its own work. um, let's see how people pursue this, and then bring somebody really smart back on, because uh, India is a bunch of smart people. We don't want a dumbass on the top, you know overruling the smartness of the people. So right now we already have a lot of smart things going on, which is cryptocurrency and exchanges. But I guess a lot of dumb rulers on the top are not able to understand that and digest that, and putting a barricade to the adoption of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. If you see a lot of exchanges, I think the exchanges are going around uh, different ways to to serve the public of India. And I guess hopefully the people will win, and the smartness will show from the people that we have this technology for everybody. It's not just for the Japanese. It should not be just for the Western world. I guess we shouldn't be late in bringing technology to India, just like the way the internet came in late. We should be the pioneers, because crypto does not wait for anybody. And once internet is there, crypto is there for everyone. And hoping to build something smaller and better tools for making India use cryptocurrency as much as possible, adopt cryptocurrency as much as possible, and benefit from it. Because benefit comes to you if you know allow it to flourish. It's purely technology at the bottom. If you deny technology tomorrow or day after, you'll definitely people will have it. But the earlier the better is what I think for any technology to be introduced. If you see comparatively, there are a lot of other technologies which people build outside India and try and sell it to India. It's about time that we get hold of a technology like cryptocurrency and will build products for it, and we have access to it easily. Because I would say if you don't hold a small amount of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or any of the crypto or happening cryptos, which is like the mother of cryptos, which is Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, those kind of coins, you really don't understand in depth about cryptocurrency. So I would always suggest people to, even 500 rupees worth of cryptocurrency will help you understand about the use of crypto and the merits of crypto. So those are the things we should not let anybody control those things, and then go ahead and take those chances, and then get those technology into our hands and learn from it. We want something like Paytm in crypto space. From my understanding, I guess we already have like Paytm. All your wallets, be it Mycelium or be it Coinomi or be it Bread Wallet, all these wallets are nothing but a Paytm kind of wallet. Your Paytm is national, and these wallets that I was just talking about, cryptocurrency wallets, are automatically global, because everything, anything, and everything on internet is global. We're not in those, confined space of India only, and it is like a jail, right? If you, the smaller the place that we have to play around with, and we're not allowed to go out and then explore, that's not a really good thing. If you see how it becomes hard for an Indian person to be a global player, is because of the financial sectors. With cryptocurrency, that just makes it easy for any Indian to be a global player. I have lived in the UK and I've lived in London, and I know anybody who's born in London and wants to do a business in London. He does not think his business is local. He always thinks his business is global. Why does he think that? Because his financial institutions at his level, at his sector, gives them that kind of a confidence, that kind of a support and help, and they're happy for him to go and be a global player. But only in India that we have. Of course, India has a very big market. I'm not saying without serving the Indian market, you should just jump into global market. But I guess you should understand that Indian market is big, and then you start serving the Indian market and use the Indian market first, and also keep your eyes open to the global market. And the few tools that can help you be a global player is cryptocurrency. So, Prashant Singh, do you think currently regulations on cryptocurrency will prevent blockchain growth in India? I guess not. If you see, your cryptocurrency regulation is regulating the specific cryptocurrency only. In terms of your blockchain growth, I think the blockchain growth is drastic in India, and I think a lot of Indian companies are already working on this space and looking to use blockchain for their systems, for their companies. If you see Hyperledger and the other things, formats that they have, to have I would say a global blockchain. In a way, Ethereum blockchain is a global blockchain where the smart contracts are on. Um, for Indian use, I'm sure we can still go ahead and use that blockchain. May not be the cryptocurrency itself, but I guess to use the Ethereum blockchain, of course, you need Ether or gas to transact on it. But there's just a small amount that you can always hold and then use to experiment your blockchain. But if you know that there are many startups that's set up on the blockchain of Ethereum, which is like Slockit and Uproof. There are many more that's working on and bringing up, including Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash blockchain is being supported by this guy called Gabriel Cardona. Gabriel Cardona is the lead developer. He built something called Bitbox in the past. So he's building a lot of tools for people to use Bitcoin Cash blockchain for smart contracts, and those kind of things is open for you to use. Nobody's going to question you why you're using it. If you're not using this today, you will not be a real player in the future. So I don't think blockchain growth will be curtailed in India. That will be open, and you will not be able to hear that from the regulators telling you, okay, go ahead and use the blockchain of Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum, because they don't know the difference. They have no understanding yet. If they had the deep understanding, it is not in their personal interest to block it. They would open doors for everybody to use these things. Because they don't understand is why we have a little bit of uh, uh, barricades that's been set up by them, and then saying that, oh, this cryptocurrency, everything boils down to cryptocurrency for them. So you got to understand that the knowledge around the Indian regulators and Indian politicians are less, and in terms of global cryptocurrencies and global technologies like this. So we have to prove it. We have to show to them that it is safe and it is useful, and we can build great products that can be used for specifically for India also. Like you could have the Ethereum blockchain being used, but a service that is very specific to India can be set up on that blockchain and then used on that blockchain. Um, it's a lot of people are already working on those kind of things. I'm sure that is something that will never ever stop, and blockchain growth can never ever get stopped in India. So, Surjan, yes, I'm working on InstaCrypto project. Have a look at it. It's called instacrypto.in. InstaCrypto allows you to have exchange INR to crypto, crypto to INR within, say, 30 minutes. That's the best that we can do for the amount of time that is there in terms of working hours from 9 to 5. We will make sure that this is within 30 minutes. We have an average of only 5 minutes right now for those hours. What it is made for is it is made to overcome the issues that existing exchanges have. The existing exchanges have a difficulty in controlling their cryptocurrency by preserving them without getting hacked. There's always a personal and private interest that comes into play when you have a lot of people's bitcoins in your control. Also, there is a fractional reserve that comes into play. All those things are out of the window when you use InstaCrypto, because in InstaCrypto we don't provide wallets. We provide cryptocurrency directly to the wallet that you choose to hold in. It could be a hard wallet, it could be a paper wallet, it could be your hot wallet that you want to use. It'll be a direct transfer to that wallets, and it is as quick as possible. Because the speed is quick, it's very popular right now. Those kind of features is not available in any exchange. Also, if you see, there are many hacking that happened with exchanges. So wherever there's a concentration of cryptocurrency being held, there's always this issues of getting hacked on those kind of things. All those things have been addressed in InstaCrypto. InstaCrypto allows you to do a quick value transfer and remittances, global payments. Those kind of things is the future of how crypto is going to be used, and that's what we are working on, and making sure we don't just necessarily just walk with the rest of the crowd and just keep doing the same thing that we've done before. If you understand, a cryptocurrency exchange is like a bank. InstaCrypto would be like Western Union or MoneyGram. So we're working on to make that happen, and then bring services to the people, or crypto services to the people. uh, that's like one of the major thoughts behind InstaCrypto. That's my full time now, and that's where I'm working on. I would love to see more and more people, after the meetup, also try it out, and get to know how InstaCrypto works. Once there are a lot of people who've told me that once they get onto InstaCrypto and get the understanding of InstaCrypto and the use and the speed of it, they have not gone back to a bigger exchanges. Of course, a bigger exchange will give you bigger volumes in terms of trading, uh, but I guess that's not something that we are working towards. We are working towards being crypto being a service tool. So when Moon Max, I guess the Moon is overrated. We are talking about Mars. If you know how India or Bangalore, ISRO, it is called a satellite launch system or launch platform that we have. It's an Indian government-run institution. If we've done for a smaller value, smaller amount, smaller price, we have sent satellites to Mars, and I guess we're going to take the crypto to Mars. Moon is just a short distance. My favorite crypto YouTuber, I would say the Jesus, Roger Ver. I think he's still a great speaker. I love his videos on YouTube. Of course, Roger Ver has got his ways of saying things. The second best person, or along with Roger, would be Andreas Antonopoulos. I think he's got a great idea behind cryptocurrency and understanding behind cryptocurrency. So he gives great analogy of how cryptocurrency is going to be a global player in financial sector. So, Kuldeep, I think it's a great question. Lightning Network is a great tool. I think a lot of people are talking about it. We don't have a real use case. We're just still working on that Lightning Network. The real use cases are very small and very experimental only. Eventually, what's going to happen with Lightning Network is something that already Bitcoin has. They're going to like polish it a little bit more and then say that it's going to be instant with least amount of fees. If you really work on Bitcoin development properly and allow Bitcoin to scale in terms of the block size, I guess we can have instant, transactions there, Lightning transactions there. But this is a little bit that the Western world or the New York wants to control. So they want to kind of build something like Lightning Network, and where they can use people's Bitcoin through their channel only and make it better. But we'll have to wait and see. I want some positive things to come out of the Lightning Network too. Eventually, it will be used positively by a lot of people for micropayments, for instant payments, which could have been done with Bitcoin. But hey, Bitcoin Cash is there for that, and SV is there for that. If the core development team of Bitcoin have swayed away, they've not understood really what should be the real development. Don't worry about it. I think there'll be a lot of altcoins which will fulfill that. And if they're building Lightning, we'll have to wait and see how best they can do that and how well they will market it to get people to really use it. Eventually, it should be usable for the people. It should help the humanity to send and receive funds instantly, because only with that is when commerce becomes easy. So if Lightning is going to help that, might as well. So we'll wait and see how best a Lightning can come up. And only once the Lightning is there, we will have to see how well they can scale it also. Because right now the debate is that they're saying the Bitcoin cannot be scaled very well. Well, that's wrong. Bitcoin can be scaled very well to the whole world, but they have restricted it to build layers on top of it like Lightning. If the layer is going to help in terms of scaling, well, as long as people get the service, crypto service, to make life easier for everybody and make global players for it from everyone. So aren't there better tech evolving than blockchain? I have not come across that. Well, blockchain is the next revolutionary thing. We already know that. It's like the internet. Internet does information transfer, blockchain does value transfer like the internet. It's an upgrade to the internet itself. I don't see any other technology that has surpassed that blockchain hype. If you know of it, just you can write down here and then we will see that. Max says Lightning Network is poop. You're right, my man. I guess they're just trying to build something on top of which is already working. Nothing is broken in Bitcoin to build something like Lightning Network, but we cannot stop them. Let's see how best they can try and do something. Uh, uh, Hopefully they will understand and bring some big blocks also on blockchain, because of the Bitcoin blockchain, because Bitcoin suddenly gets very pricey in terms of mining fee and the transaction fee, and also in terms of the time it takes. It shouldn't be the case. If a block itself takes a long time because the computers didn't get the hash, couldn't get the hash, I can understand that. But if the miners are making your transaction wait because the blocks are full, that is really stupid. Because we've learned that if Satoshi is given you a finger to hold, you should know how to learn from it. You shouldn't like now cut the finger and then say, "Oh no, it's not right." So that's the kind of thing your core developers are doing. They're not allowing Bitcoin to really scale by not allowing it to increase the block size. A simple block size increase would help in terms of the time taken for Bitcoins to move, in terms of the fees paid for the Bitcoin to move. If you understand right, a bigger block will hold more transactions and we can take more transaction fees. If they're taking $10 per transaction fee per transaction, and if they have 100 transactions, they're going to make $1,000. If they allow that to make 10,000 transactions, which is just $1, eventually they will make their money. The money of their $10,000 will still be there for the miners. Those kind of things, simple things, are not being understood. I guess you should see some of these blogs, or the video that has been the debate that's happened between Roger Ver and the Bitcoin core developer. The Bitcoin core developer does not know what he's talking about. Why does he not know what he's talking about? Is because he and his group manipulated the system there with your what's his name? I forgot his name. He was the main developer till last year, and they said, oh yeah, there is a system error, and then they took his password and the login ID, and then they never reset his password for him, and then they kicked him out of the development team. Once he was out. I guess the real development didn't happen because these guys who are developing now are not necessarily developing from their mind. They're listening to people and they're doing according to what is being told, not really what is the need for the blocks. If people like all of the world can simply understand that yes, the blocks helps in terms of more transactions and less fees and quicker in time, why are they not able to understand? Because they want to control this as much as possible by building second layers on it. But we'll see how what future holds for all of these things. Bitcoin is going to be cash soon, but if it failed due to its inherent flaws, Mr. Sai, you have no idea what you're talking about. What flaws are you talking about in the system, other than the man-made flaws, of course, which is the restriction of the block and everything? Please do elaborate a little bit more. 128 GB blocks for all. I would love that. Even 32 MB, even 8 MB, 8 GB blocks, or little increase in the blocks, because we're just running on the same thing that Satoshi wrote 10 years ago. Yes, Max, you are right. He was a big blocker, but I guess since he's not in the limelight, they're just taking a ride for what he built as an open source code for them. No, nothing leads to centralized, Kuldeep. The reason what I mean by nothing leads to centralized in the crypto space is that tries to be as much as decentralized as possible. The real centralized system is the existing financial system from the federal government, the federal bank, and the banks around the federal bank, which are equivalent or more bigger than the central banks of a lot of other worlds. Like I'm talking about JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs. These guys are controlling a lot more. They've made money more centralized than anything. Cryptocurrency is the best that you get as decentral. I guess that kind of decentralized system is still happening compared to a lot of other things. It may get a little bit centralized here and there with mining. Miners might get a little bit more by making it. Those kind of little things is nothing debatable. They're just like a part and parcel of the growth of Bitcoin and a decentralized system. Eventually, this decentralized system will be the biggest for the world. It's already centralized with a few mega miners in China. It may be max, but that mining centralization does not make any difference to the real use of Bitcoin. Why China has centralized? What do you mean by centralized? Is actually not centralized. China holds the maximum hardware, so they manufacture the maximum hardware. They don't sell it to US. That's not their fault. They don't like Americans. They don't want to sell it to Americans. That's fine. Uh, but just because they run maximum mining in China does not mean that it is centralized. It's just the part of mining capabilities to get more Bitcoins is got the China has got that feature, but that does not give any kind of centralized, control to Bitcoin ecosystem itself, or any cryptocurrency for that matter. That's right, Max. Thank you very much. Gavin Anderson was the person who got kicked out. I would have liked Gavin to be there because Gavin had some brains, a lot of brains. I guess these guys who have come in now have no brains. They just listen and they are followers, and they don't know. Uh, I can understand, Vizid, what you're saying in terms of the full nodes. But if you see 190 GB is nothing for a rigs that is running in the size of whatever that is size that we know of, mining rigs in China or mining farms in China. So if they have such a mining farm and 190 GB of space may get tripled with block size being increased, still can be managed and held. Because if I remember right, till 2013, I was running on my own laptop, and my laptop took about like half an hour to 2 hours sometime to sync to some 32 GB or something like that around that time, because the wallets around 2013 were only like full wallets. You had to download the whole block size blockchain onto your computer to run this wallet. When I did that, I didn't think it was any difficulty at a level of my own personal use. If I could do that much, the mining farm should be able to mine, or should be able to hold that kind of data and run that nodes. Of course, a lot of single run, individual nodes may find it a little hard, but I guess the hardware cost is dropping every day by the day. So these kind of things should not be a difficulty. Of course, I don't want them to increase to such a size that the GBs are too many, but you can do a little bit, at least from 1 to 8. I think the Bitcoin core developers are afraid to even do any kind of small development on the chain. They've been actually, I'm guessing this. They've been told not to fucking go into any kind of development on this, which will help you know the real use case of Bitcoin increase. Yes, I think. Thanks for the information, Max, for the little bit of details in terms of technical know-how. So if I'm not wrong, there used to be this guy called Chris Ellis, and he built a system, a small a computer which looks like a Raspberry Pi, but this is a full node. What it does is it actually gives you, it holds the data. There are two variants in that. In one of the variant is just the node, and the other variant actually downloads the whole the ledger of the blockchain of Bitcoin. And they're not very expensive. They were around 6-7 thousand rupees only at the time when it was released. They Chris may have to rethink of making it a little bit more bigger in size of the hard drive, but those things will keep getting better with time, and technology really helps people get better hardware in future. And if I'm not wrong, I think Chris had even an alarm system on that particular node, Raspberry Pi kind of an hardware, where if there was any interference in the blockchain, it will even give you an alarm that the nodes didn't work properly, or the ledger every 10 minutes which gets updated didn't happen the way it should happen, or the system was not following the same protocol that it was not following, those kind of things would give you an alarm also. Never happened, never needed that alarm till now because it worked smooth. But those kind of developments are happening around the world. People are building a lot of systems, a lot of things to make life easier with cryptocurrency and use of cryptocurrencies. Oh, that's great to know, Vijay, that you have a full node that's running with you, and I understand that you don't have to be a miner to run a full node. So your increase in block size may matter to you, but of course, once if that really happens, you will see some solutions for that. Also, you will probably find some better hardwares to buy and upgrade your system. That's what I was talking about. This Ellis has done. Chris Ellis, he's built that kind of a product that will help people, get on with the full node that they want to run for themselves. So yeah, it was a great meetup so far. You guys have been a great audience with amazing questions. Any more question about the BCH fork, or the development of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain or BTC blockchain itself? Shoot your questions, and we'll try and answer as much as I can. You know. So another question up there, which I skipped. I thought I'll address it later if there was any. Uh, I will come back to it, Max. Would love to get a brief on FINMA Switzerland. What is that, Kuldeep? If you can explain a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's right, Max. In white paper, node is equal to miner, because that's how it began in the beginning. If you are a miner, you would have to do a full node. But if you had in the beginning, if you had a wallet, also you were a full node, because that's the kind of wallet I had to use because there was no light wallets then at all. Hi, Venkat Krishna, and Krishna has been our regular with meetups, and welcome, Krishna. What's your say on the meetup today? I know you still made it. We still have another 15 minutes to go, so welcome. So Max, I can just address that question that you had before uh, about your didn't they ban large denominations of currency in India? They did one which was 1,500, which got banned, but we got 2,500 again. So if you think the large denomination got banned, we got even larger one now, which is a 2001. Um, it is needed. Large denominations is very much needed in India because if you compare it to the US dollars, US dollar has got till $1,000. Do you know there is a $1,000 denomination note that's available in the US? And Europe does up to 500 euro denomination currency notes. These papers are worthless in the future, but I guess they have that now. UK is the only one which has a smaller one, which is the biggest is 50. But India, for the value that when you compare it to the global foreign exchange, 2000 is nothing, but I guess we needed something like that. So you're saying, you guess, not sure we should be designing around non-mining nodes. Yeah, anything is possible. If you check with Chris Ellis, why don't you just message him and then understand what his thoughts were to build something like that, which is a non-miner. So Sai Vinod, yeah, you want to understand what's a DOA in blockchain? Let me just get back to you because I have some questions here that I'm just looking at my other portal. So I guess in a way, if you were talking about DOA, I think your BitNation was one of them. They wanted to work on DOA system, um, decentralized autonomous organization, which is where you can build something on the blockchain and then have no control of the government, of course. Look up on BitNation. I think Suzanne is her name. I think she's been working on that from a long time, to build some things like your birth and marriage certificates to go on the blockchain, and you know any kind of future IP related stuff or anything that's valuable to go and on the blockchain was being worked on that. So I hope I've directed you in the right direction to find out a little bit more in depth. Non-mining nodes are only verifying which protects network from 51% attack, which has become quite centralized. Also, if there are any. Okay, Vizit, I don't think any system of this cryptocurrency right now is very centralized. When you say centralized means, to my knowledge, and I'm explaining it to you the way we're comparing the centralized to decentralized. Centralized systems are your banks, your Western, your Visa, Mastercard, and PayPal. So very clearly, centralized companies have the control of you, of stopping you from doing any transaction. No, these centralized systems were the ones who stopped WikiLeaks getting their funding. So they stopped WikiLeaks by stopping their his account, so that his account does not get any of these Visa, Mastercard amounts, bank transfers, PayPal amounts. That is a proper centralized system. In cryptocurrency, we cannot say that it is centralized. It is decentralized from the day one till now. It will continue to stay decentralized. Even if there is a 51% attack, it does not matter. It will come back and regroup in 10 minutes and become a decentralized system again, start flourishing. If there is a 51% computing power that is going to attack on Bitcoin, the biggest loser is the 51% computer, that one that came with the largest network power, which try to control the manipulate the system, will be the one which will stay away from the system and it has to run on its own, because the rest, everybody else is the players. The players may not have more than 50% because the attacker brought in that kind of system power, but the real other players with less power also can regroup and continue the ledger. It will be a fork on its own if it's an upgrade that they have to work on that. But that's how the power of this group of people will going to work, and it will never ever be centralized and can fall because of that. So the fear of being centralized and those kind of things is not there in cryptocurrency at all, and it will never ever be there, because people who are supporting this system of cryptocurrency and decentralized and open source are the ones that are really knowledgeable. They know why this cryptocurrency is more superior and why is it needed. It's needed to control and to eliminate the centralized systems, and the centralized systems control over people at the level that they have today. So yeah, there is a balance point that has to be found, and the balance point gets found every time there is a talk about being centralized and cryptocurrency is not going to happen. Bitcoin is doomed. Bitcoin is going to go zero, and this and that. All these hurdles came along from the last, say, 9 years. I wouldn't say 10 years, because your the first year didn't have any value. So the whole time it has been having value, and all these points have been coming out, and then people are talking about it being doomed in centralizing, in controlling, miners controlling, 15% control. Somebody's going to bring in quantum computing, somebody's going to add NSA to this, and NSA is going to come in with all their computing power. Google is going to use their computing power to control. Nothing happened. Nothing will ever happen, because it's a new system by the people and is run by the people. It's the people's mind that has been put in through the systems, and their mind will understand that their system has to be unplugged by this, from this particular software or this mining pool, and then switch back to the next mining pool, which will run the Bitcoin protocol, free from the centralized system. These kind of things will come back to play, and I don't think Bitcoin ever get control, or cryptocurrency for that matter, the real proof of work cryptocurrencies I'm talking about, will ever get control. If there are only four mining pools which has 15% hash power and more, be it. Who really bothers? Because that does not really predict the way a control can happen, like the control of the existing financial system I'm talking about. I'm only comparing to that when I'm comparing your centralized and decentralized. Well, Max, I would like to explain a little bit on that. I don't want to take up too much time about the banning of denominations in India. One of the reasons why the denominations of 1,500 had to be banned is because there were too many counterfeits that was being floated by the insurgents in the northern part of India, with our borders from Pakistan. Maybe Pakistan themselves have no control over it. It's just a lot of funding that comes from West to these people to print Indian rupees. They were getting paper from there. The papers of the currency notes are not necessarily printed everywhere. There are very few places in this world the papers come from. One of the main places is Germany. And how they got hold of it, we have no idea. But they had the hold of it. They had the molds. They had printed a lot of fake counterfeited Indian denominations that had to be banned then, and bring in a new set of system, because otherwise they were using that to infiltrate into Indian territory. One of the things, like, we are different in terms of pumping for crypto to OPEC is OPEC oil. You can print or you can extract as much oil as you want, which is there for 10 years. You can extract it in 1 year and finish it. The same thing with the printing of the US dollars also. They can print as much as they want to their wills and fancies. But with Bitcoin, you cannot do that. That's the beauty of the Bitcoin, because it's set to get printed or to get released in the ecosystem in a very set manner, and numbers are already pre-predicted, and in this 4 years we're only going to get 12.5 bitcoins for every 10 minutes. Adds up to around 1,700 bitcoins per day. That's the number you will ever get. And I don't think anybody can, just because you can centralize mining or put in more mining, you can never ever increase the number of coins that is printed, that is mined. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin compared to the existing controlled and manipulated systems. I guess if the big Chinese miners have different ways of selling their coins for profit, they might have learned that their way. They have the advantage of those miners, because no other country can build those kind of miners, which is close to, say, what, 20 nm. Who's got that kind of manufacturing units? US does not have them. US shipped them all a long time ago. So only China has. If you're the one who are the masters and pioneers of building hardware, you get the advantage of playing with the hardware the way you want it. So you cannot blame Chinese. We can only blame the American Western governments, which moved their hardware manufacturing units to China just to cut costs at the time when they thought it was very feasible. May not be the best move at that time, because that time I don't think the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency spree was on. Now that it is, I'll tell you a small story that a few Americans flew in 2014 to China to buy hardware. And when they wrote their blog about it, with their tears in their eyes, they went there to China, stood in the queue, ready to suck Chinese dicks, but they still didn't get their miners, because Chinese asked them to go F themselves and go back to their country, and they were not going to get their miners. I'm talking about the mining setup, like the way the farms are. Still, some people got it. They had probably better relationships with these Chinese manufacturing people, but not a lot of people got that easily. So these things happened is because China is the master in building the hardware for ASICs. Can you explain about how to solve double spending problem? Okay, so double spending problem is really not happened, and double spending problem is not uh, practical yet. It is only theoretical. There is no real double spending that has happened. and theoretically they say double spending can happen, but that's not something which is a real threat now. I think the technology is developing day by day, and it's chances of happening is lesser and lesser. Okay, I can take this last question from Naidu about ICOs. ICO is your initial coin offering. ICO is named similar to IPOs. Your IPO used to be for those companies which did really well and they wanted to throw an IPO to get more funding for their company and sell their shares to the public. With IPO, they raised funds on a product that they had ready as a company, flourishing, doing well, market happy with their products and all that. With IPO, you had real value that you were buying, but with ICOs, you're not really buying anything. Your ICOs, you're buying some kind of an idea of this person who's going to start a cryptocurrency, which there are already many. You don't really need one. But if they think they have some great idea behind this cryptocurrency, like the health system, education system, we're going to bring in all these educational portals on one platform, have a tokenized system where they can send and use this token between the users of this particular health or education system. These tokens are now redundant, because if you build a nice system like this, any existing system, any existing cryptocurrency that I'm talking about, like Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, any of these can be used on this particular blockchain. Why do you really need a token? These tokens are brought by these people to do a quantitative easing for themselves, means to make money for themselves. So ICOs are 99% fraud, because once they get their money generated without any product being ready and product being used by the people, they raise funds and they don't develop it because they already got the money. Why do they have to develop something now? So those kind of frauds are happening with ICOs. ICOs is something which is a bleak use. Like, if you build something really really great in terms of your product, and you have a running product and you build everything from your own scratch, from your own money, then you go for an ICO and then you sell your product and then take money. I still believe that you should be possible doing that, and you should fund those kind of things. But don't ever fund on something that is that's an idea behind this ICO, or just a currency behind this ICO, which has no real use cases. uh, like I said, ICOs are mostly fraud. So watch what you're doing. Do your own research before that. Thank you very much, Max, for being here. Same here. We both have to run. So thanks a lot, guys. It was a great conversation here, and lovely audience and lovely questions we got. I can understand a lot more from you guys too. Like I got from Romit today. There's a lot more that I have to learn, and I guess next time I would be prepared for this few more questions. That's something that is latest. Well, thanks a lot.